just haven't buried.
No, it's okay. I totally understand. I have a little more time to fish those out.
There you go.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Pleasure. Yeah, you guys seem to do some good programming this year. So.
Yeah, it's been a good year. It's been nice to have like a full year of in-person programming again. Yeah, seeing everyone.
Yeah, and get it actually veterans and most of them again appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Having a nice space to go to.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some of the events had lunch, like that seems like a
Yeah, we have one for like it's just a regular family program, but we're serving lunch for military families beforehand.
Mhm.
And then we have our after hours program, which we always serve dinner. And
Yeah,
that's
that's really cool. It's
a
like
lot of
very
fun.
excited reading the event.
Yeah.
Details.
Yeah.
Think you all set now?
Yeah, I think we're good. Can the audio go up any higher? Because when John was talking, I couldn't really hear him.
The audio's all the way up. I don't know if he needs to raise his volume. Because everything's like 100%. You can try with him again.
Hi, I'm here.
Yeah. it's
Okay.
very
I was muted there for a minute.
Or maybe just scoot it up over here though, because we're not gonna be able to hear people. And John talks pretty loud normally, so I just feel like it's gonna be difficult.
Let's see something.
Because the audio's coming out of that thing, right?
Yeah, it's either because the camera's using on here, so it has a microphone on here.
But that doesn't work.
It does work, but I think it might be low too. I can try.
Try the microphone and then we'll see if John can hear us.
Let's see. Speaker, not the headphones.
I don't know what that means. I can't do it. No.
Try it now.
Can you hear us? Nope. Wendy, can you hear it? But she can't even hear us.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good. I can hear everybody. Okay,
Can
we
you hear
are,
us, Wendy?
no, Mercedes? Mercedes, can you hear me?
Wendy, you can't hear us at all, right?
I can hear you now. Yes,
Because I unmuted my computer.
okay, but I couldn't hear you before.
Okay, try it now. Try now.
You sound far away.
Okay, so that's what's gonna have to work, and we're just gonna have to talk loud.
Okay, yeah, I hear you. You sound very far away.
Okay, we'll keep that because that's the only way we can hear you clearly. So, Wendy, I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody in now.
Okay, and I should, you saw my info, so should,
Yes,
everyone let them do, and do yes. Okay,
they're gonna have a hard stop at 6:45. So we're gonna try to reduce as much like Q&A as possible. They're not here to necessarily ask any questions or like try to fix anything. They're just gonna say like, these are the procedures going forward. Vala's in charge now, that kind of stuff.
so they're not gonna answer any questions that the veterans may have?
Yes, but only if they're pertinent. So we're not gonna let anybody talk for an extended period of time. And if they're repeating the same question, we're gonna move to the next one.
Okay, so we think we're probably gonna go for about an hour and a half, correct?
Well, with them from the VA, they're only on till 6:45 and then they're done.
Okay, so are they gonna go first, or do we
Yeah.
want the commissioner and them to go first? The commissioner is gonna go last?
Do your introduction and then they can go.
Okay, then we'll do the commissioner. All right, but if they're not, because I have another meeting at 8. So
Yeah.
if they don't finish at 8, could you please close it out for me?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Okay,
We can try to move you for closer.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we're screen-
I don't see my name now. Uh-oh.
Wendy, can you hear us better now?
yes, much better.
Thank you, Avinash, appreciate it. Yeah, that's totally fine. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for your help. Sorry, these are your documents. I'm sorry. Thank you. You're welcome.
Can I get the mouse to mute and unmute it?
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
VAB, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. VAB, are we ready to start?
Yes, we're good here at the.
We're good, are we ready?
Yep.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you to the last meeting of the public session of our Veterans Advisory Board. Thank you so much for joining us. And we also look forward to you joining us for next year's meetings as well. So please share our flyer. It can be found on the DVS, Department of Veterans Services website. And this is where we come together to let our elected officials, everyone on the Veterans Advisory Board, and then to hear from our community of what the veterans' needs are for New York City. So we're going to get started first with, in this order, we're going to have introductions from our board for the Veterans Advisory Board. Then we're going to do introductions. We're going to do introductions of the DVS, the Department of Veterans Services department, and then we're going to move right into our guests so that they can come and share their information as well. My name is Wendy McClinton. I am a 10-year United States Army honorably discharged service-connected veteran, and I represent the borough of Brooklyn. I'm also the president and CEO of Black Veterans for Social Justice. So all other board members, can you please acknowledge yourselves as well?
I'll start. My name is Linda Allis. This is the first time I'm on the advisory board. I'm a Gold Star mom. I lost my son Michael in Afghanistan in 2013, and I'm happy to be part of the board. Thank you.
Paul
I'll go ahead
Dietrich.
and go next. Sorry, Paul.
Sorry. 35-year Army veteran, retired, a member of the board also from Staten Island.
I'll go next. I'm actually one of the in-person. This is our second meeting that we've had hybrid, and we've seen a lot of success with people wanting to be in person. My name is Mercedes Elias. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, 10 years. I represent Queens, and I serve as a secretary of the board.
Hi.
I'm Todd Haskins. Marine Corps veteran and represent Manhattan. Sorry, John.
That's okay. I'm trying to see where I am on the list now. Since a million people got on here. My name is John Rowan. I've been a member of this board for I can't remember how many years, at least 4 administrations ago when it was a different name. I'm a Air Force Intel veteran. I was a linguist in the service. I retired from the city of New York as a managing investigator after serving with the city council and the controller's office and our community board 4 in Queens. And I served up until last year for 16 years as the national president of Vietnam Veterans of America. Thank you.
Is there any other board members on the call? Okay, if not, will the members of DVS please introduce yourselves?
Hey.
Yep.
Yeah, you got me. All right. James Hendon, Department of Veteran Services Commissioner.
Good evening, everyone. Bianca Vitale, Senior Policy Analyst, DVS. Nice to meet you all. Thanks for coming.
How's everybody doing? Chuck Rivera, Press Secretary, DVS.
Hi, everybody. Cassandra Alvarez, Chief of Staff for DVS.
Anyone else? Thank you all for being here. Are there any elected or public officials on the call, please? Would you please acknowledge yourselves? Because we definitely don't want to leave anyone out, and we also want to acknowledge everyone on the call in their respective places. Thank you so much for joining us today. So we're going to also, I want to introduce at this time, I'm going to let our Commissioner Hendon, he's here. And would you please introduce the representatives that are on the call for the VA and for the New Vision? I think Mr. Tucker is on the call as well. Would you please introduce him?
I can introduce myself here. It's fine.
Okay. No worries.
Yeah, this will be the third time I've been on, so I recognize a lot of the names and faces here. So thanks for having me back. I'm Bruce Tucker. I'm the interim medical center director here in New York Harbor. I've been here since January 2nd, and when you're ready, I'll go kind of through my my bullet points for the group. And I have my executive assistant on, Evan, because I had a hard stop a little before 7. So if anything comes up afterward, he can take some notes and get back to me, and I can circle back with the group.
And Mr. Tucker, the floor is yours.
Oh, the floor is mine. Oh, hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome.
So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the new executive director for the New York Harbor healthcare system has been selected. He'll be starting on December 4th. His first day on site will be December 5th. I will be with him for 2 weeks during the transition. His name is Tim Graham. He's coming from the Washington, D.C. Medical Center, where he currently serves as the deputy executive director there. He served from 2016 to 2021 as the associate director in the Northern California healthcare system. And then before that, he was the Freedom of Information Act in central office from 2010 to 2016. His background is law, so he comes with a law degree. And like I said, he'll be starting permanent on the 4th, first day on site will be the 5th. And like I said, I'll be with him through the 16th. So like I said, this is my third time with this group. It's been a pleasure. I know that in the first one, we talked about kind of where we were with air and market assessment. That's kind of gone by the wayside at this point. We're still following our strategic direction in terms of modernization with our current capital asset projects throughout the harbor. The one thing I am very happy to say, especially in the Manhattan campus, for those that come here, The elevators are almost all fully working, and as of today, the elevators in the outpatient clinic, half of them are operational. I think it's about the first time we've had any operating elevators in there in 2 years. So that will be, in terms of flow for veterans coming in, it'll be much better. The other thing I wanted to talk about, which it works well with the elevators operating better, is we're opening services, face-to-face services. Primarily, we want to get our primary care services up to pre-COVID levels. We've been really ratcheting that up over the last 6 months. Our specialty care services, we've really been opening up that face-to-face. In terms of our surgical and dental, the same thing. We're really opening up our surgery, dental from the pre-pandemic levels. The other thing with the pandemic, and now that we're moving out of that, we did lose a lot of veterans during the pandemic that used to come to the harbor. So we're with Lynn Johnson. I think a lot of you may know Lynn. Lynn's pretty active in the community. We're really picking up our outreach events. So if you have any events in the community that you would like the VA to be a part of, please let us know. We want to really partner with you. James and Dr. Kana and I, the new director in the Bronx, he'll be coming on after me. We met a couple weeks ago to talk about partnering, and any outreach events that you have, we would love to partner and have that opportunity to bring those veterans in that really could use our services. The other part that I just wanted to touch on with our opening is, with COVID, I think that, hiring got really kind of scaled back during those years. We are really ratcheting up our hiring. We need to get some things coming in to improve our service. Fully recognize that the hiring process is just not as quick as what we'd like it to be, but we are actively hiring. Especially like nurses, we're trying to bring on more nurses so that we can, as we're opening up services, to make sure that service is seamless. And the other thing too, which I know a lot of you may be having some frustration with, I'll apologize right up front, but we do have a plan with it, is our phone call response for our clinics. During that, our call center staffing had gotten cut down. We're bringing on like 25 plus MSAs to help with scheduling. We've approved I think up to 50 MSAs to bring on to really bring that up to par where we need to be. The last thing I just wanted to touch on is October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month and Intimate Partner Violence Month. So we're doing a lot of activities to really highlight that, because we really want to catch breast cancer awareness. We want our veterans to be aware, and that we have that service, and that intimate partner violence is something that we really want to screen for and intervene to help our veterans out if they're experiencing that. That's all I had, and I don't know if you want me to hand it over to Dr. Kana before questions, or if you wanted me to take any questions now before we did that.
I think it would be good to have Dr. Kana as well, so then that way everybody can just make sure that they get it out, and we can just keep it. Thank you.
And I see he's on, so Dr. Kana?
Hi, Bruce. Good afternoon, everyone. And I really am thankful for everyone to give me this opportunity to be a part of this group. A little bit about myself. So I am a physician by background, and I worked in the Bronx my entire professional life at Lincoln Medical Center. I started there as a resident and attending. I've done a lot of work in training staff, research, and then in the last 5 years during the pandemic, I had the opportunity and the privilege to be the Chief Operating Officer of Lincoln Medical Center. So I do have an operations background in addition to being a physician. I joined the Bronx VA in July, so it's been about 90 days exactly today. It's been a very exciting time for me to join this healthcare team at JJP. We have a lot of good people serving the veterans in the Bronx here. So my goal is to work hard with them to improve the care and improve the access for the veterans that we have. And I want to thank all of you, distinguished members of the board, as well as other distinguished officials today for giving me this opportunity. And I'm hoping to partner with you on many things to come in future. I serve the Bronx, and I understand how people live in the Bronx for 28 years. So I can bring that value to help improve veterans care. Just to echo on Bruce's points about expanding access, we are open for business post-COVID. COVID was a damper in terms of getting the services face-to-face. We are open for business. We are encouraging face-to-face visits. Of course, if someone cannot, come to the facility, we offer them telehealth. We have a very good telehealth program here in the Bronx. We serve multiple hospitals within the VISN as well as outside the VISN. We're also opening up new things such as the extension for the spinal cord injury unit. We had only one wing. We're going to open up the next wing tomorrow. That's a big success. I'll be very happy that we can offer more services for them. As Bruce pointed out, we are going to partner with James and all of you in community outreach events. Our goal is to bring back the veterans who did not come to us post-COVID so that we can provide them the best care that the Bronx and Manhattan has been provided. We also do a lot of good work in research. Bronx is well known for its affiliation with Mount Sinai and the research work that we do. We have great work done at the Spinal Cord Injury Center. I visited them today. Amazing work of making people walk. Mental health group. We also have a geriatric group doing a lot of good things. So I think we have a lot of good things in the Bronx that we can offer. Of course, there are challenges. Of course, as Bruce pointed out, we're looking at modernizing the facilities by improving utilities such as electricity, water, boilers, and that stuff in 2023. We are working on challenges like nursing staff. We've had very good recent successes with hiring nurses through fairs. We're also looking at other EMS and logistics to keep our hospital clean and supplies flowing well for the patients. So those are some of the challenges we're doing. We're focusing at this point in time, and we definitely will partner with James. In fact, James and I and my community outreach coordinator, Sean, will be setting up a community advisory board for JJP to get guidance and help in which direction we need to move to help our veterans. Last but not the least, as Bruce pointed out, we are celebrating different things this month. One of the things that we are looking at and doing activities is the domestic violence that Bruce pointed out. We're also doing other things for social services this month. So I want to stop there. That's a very brief summary of a lot of things that I'm engaged in now. And I'm going to leave it to the team here and the leadership to ask any questions that you may have or any comments that you may have. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tucker, and thank you so much, can you please pronounce your last name again for me, please?
Khanna is my last name, Khanna.
Khanna, okay. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that you have a hard stop and we're going to honor that, but we want to, if you're open, we would like for the minutes that you do have, that if any of the veterans on the line have any questions, that they will be able to ask those, but also veterans, please honor the fact that they do have a hard stop. Your questions cannot be redundant. We don't go on for long periods of time because we want to honor their time as we do yours. So if you have a question, please state your question, allow them to answer. And then if we don't get everybody's question in, please utilize the chat. And also know that we are recording this. So if we cannot answer everybody's question, we will get back to you. We'll get to them, Mr. Tucker and Mr. Khanna. We will get the answer to your question, and we will definitely get back to you if you leave your email address and your question in the chat. Okay, please utilize the raise your hand button, and our secretary, Ms. Elias, will acknowledge, our VAB secretary will acknowledge that and will acknowledge the hands, okay? Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Tucker or Mr. Khanna at this time?
Ashton.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Khanna, and thank you, DVS, and thank you, VAB and Wendy. Dr. Khanna, we just had a patient referred to us who was in palliative care for the Bronx VA for some time. I work for MGHS, Metropolitan Jewish Health System, and we're in the hospice program there. We were just really delighted to work with that veteran. Unfortunately, he passed away a few days ago, but we were trying to get him some benefits in place. but this is something that I'm new to this industry. Been working with veterans for 4 years, but new to the hospice part of it. And one thing I'm discovering is a lot of these veterans who are aging out, they still have not had access or a chance to get access to their benefits. We were trying to get him some disability because he was injured during boot camp, which was a lifelong problem for him. But I just want to let you know that MJHS is here. We are at the ready. We strongly admire the work that the VA is doing and the growth that you're working on after the pandemic, even still during the pandemic. But I just wanted to commend you for that and just volunteer ourselves to be here at the ready for you, sir.
And thank you very much, Ashton. I put a note in together and maybe we can connect offline to see how we can work together.
That sounds terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ashton, it'd be helpful if you can just put your contact information in the chat. We'll make sure to get it to Dr. Khanna. And then I did see earlier, Stephen Colon, you had your hand raised.
Mr. Cologne, you're on the mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
No, I was just trying to set it. I'm good. But
Okay,
welcome tonight, everyone.
Yep, we do have a gentleman here with us in person. Who has a question?
My name is Tim Pena. I'm currently at the Borden Avenue residency, veterans residency. We have a lot of veterans, as Mr. Stewart was talking about, that have needs as far as benefits. I'm pretty good in processing and helping to get that done. Is there anything that we can do? We have a lot of veterans over at Borden who could be eligible for benefits. What can we do to fast track some of these guys?
So for the VA.
Oh, go ahead. I apologize.
Oh, go ahead, Bruce. Go ahead.
I was just going to touch on, we do have regular staff over there, social work staff at Borden Ave that will work with those veterans to help them get connected to apply for benefits through the homeless program. Because we do want to ensure that we are connecting everyone we can with benefits. The other thing, and I can't go into great detail because I don't have it right here, but with the PACT Act coming out too, a lot of veterans that had not been necessarily eligible for benefits will be eligible for some benefits under that PACT Act. And maybe in one of your future meetings, you may want to ask VBA to come and do a short in-service on that act.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Mr. Tucker and Mr. Connor, I have a question. Why is there such a push, and I can probably understand it, and I think I know the answer, but I want to know, why is there such a push to move our veterans to telehealth opposed to them coming into the VA hospital for services or to see a doctor?
I can answer it from the perspective here at the Harbor. We are going to offer telehealth, but we're a 1A facility, so we do offer many services face-to-face. So anything that we can offer face-to-face right now, we're going to offer face-to-face. During COVID, we did push a much more in terms of like VVC, in terms of doing it from home. But we want to offer at this point whatever the veteran's comfortable with, whether it's going to be VVC or face-to-face. We are trying to get away from telephone clinics. We do want, because you can't, and I'm just going to say this, it's much more difficult to assess somebody over the phone, even as opposed to like seeing somebody on video, but it's much easier to do it in person. So we are moving towards face-to-face visits. But the other thing too, even being in a 1A facility, and Dr. Khanna is in the same boat, we do offer specialty that we may not have through telehealth that maybe, let's say it's offered in San Diego or Houston, where they may have a specialist that we can connect them through telehealth to that specialist so that we can keep their service within the VA and give them the services they need.
I just want to echo what Bruce just said. So
Thank
we are
you.
open to business, definitely face-to-face as much as we can, because I think face-to-face is much more valuable. It provides the doctor and the patient an avenue to talk about a lot of things that they can't express on the VVC visits, like Bruce was saying. But however, there will be certain individuals who may not be able to make it for some reasons, and we provide them, VVC services. We also provide VVC service to other hospitals in the network because they may not have that service. So that we are able to provide, that's a great tool that we have now discovered that we can provide it to, upstate hospitals or, other hospitals here. So I think there is a value there, but we want to welcome face-to-face.
And the other part too is we're trying to save veterans travel. Let's say even if somebody's in Northport and we have a cardiologist here and we supply that here, instead of having the veteran go from Northport to here, we can do that via telehealth. And the telehealth, if they come into the facility and do telehealth to telehealth here, there's a lot of different tools that we can do to assess. It's pretty comprehensive right now.
Okay. All right, everyone on the call, does anyone have any other questions for Mr. Connor and Mr. Tucker? No? Okay, Mr. Tucker, Mr. Connor, thank you so much. We honored your quick stop.
Hey, thank you.
And you were able to make it. What I want to do, because I know we have time, and if you have a few minutes, because it's not 6:45 yet, we definitely want to introduce you to, if I can, there are, before I bring the commissioner and his staff and also Miss Elizabeth, please, I don't want to pronounce her last name. I'm not Asrick. Did I say that correctly? Elizabeth, your last name?
It's arts, like arts and crafts.
Arts. Okay. Before I bring the commissioner and also Miss Arts on, I want to take an opportunity. We have I see about 3 service providers or 3 people on the phone. I need you to take at least maybe a minute, because we are with our time and we want to make sure we get all the information. Just take 1 minute to introduce yourselves and tell the veterans on the call where you are and what the services you do. You have like 1 minute and 30 seconds. And I want to acknowledge, there's Chad Royer on the line. He's from, I think, Community Board 7. We have Deanna Tweed, and we also have Samuel B. Coates. So if you can take 1.5 minutes, starting with Mr. Coates, then we'll have Mr. Royer, and then we'll have Ms. Tweed, just to give them some brief information about where you are and what you do. And then after they finish, the next voice that you will hear will be Miss Arts, and then following that will be the commissioner of the Department of Veteran Services and his team as well. Let's go in that order.
Real quick, my name is Samuel B. Coates Jr. So most of y'all know me. Those that don't know me, I work for the Staten Island, Manhattan, and Brooklyn Vet Center. I'm also the VA. So anybody that needs any kind of guidance, I could guide you through the VA system, VBA system, and the NCA system. I see I have Mr. Rowan on there. I know who he is, the famous man. I applaud him. My main principle of my job is combat mental health, military sexual trauma, and any guidance they need with anything else. The second part of my job is outreach. So if you're looking for employment, housing, any kind of guidance, I could guide you to reliable SFVF. Thank you.
Mr. Royer? Mr. Royer, are you there?
Hi, good evening. Yes, hi, good evening. I apologize. I have to get off the call because my other meeting with the board is about to start. I left my email in the chat, so if there's any folks or entities who want to partner up, I'm looking to add more awareness, resources, and visibility in the Northwest Bronx. So I left my email in the chat, and I thank you all for everything that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Ms. Tweed?
So, good evening. I will jump in. I am actually very, very, very long distance. I am in Georgia. I like to get on and communicate with people in other states. I work for Veterans Ascend, and we are a 100% veteran-owned and operated company who help veterans, their spouses, and their dependents over the age of 18 to obtain meaningful, gainful employment totally based on skills matching. We are an AI-powered platform that uses skill matching, nothing but skills, no resumes. So I did put my information in the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Ms. Arts, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Arts. I am the policy analyst for the New York City Council Veterans Committee. I shared this information in the chat, but we are the Veterans Committee led by Chair Holden. We'll be having a hearing on December the 13th at 1 p.m. on oversight of veteran treatment courts. I just wanted to give a short overview of what that might entail. So veteran treatment courts are hybrid drug and mental health courts that serve veterans struggling with addiction, serious mental illness, or co-occurring disorders. Veteran treatment courts promote sobriety, recovery, stability through a coordinated response that involves collaboration with traditional partners found in drug and mental health courts, with the addition of the VA, volunteer veteran mentors, and veteran family support organizations. So this hearing would allow the committees to evaluate the success of veteran treatment courts, and we look forward to hearing from DVS, judges presiding over VTCs, and mental health veteran service organizations, and we welcome your participation. I put my email in the chat, so feel free to reach out to me with any questions. Thank you.
Okay, hi, real quickly, Ms. Arts, are you sending notices out to everybody?
Yes, for invitations, do you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Notification about the hearings as well.
So the hearing is noticed on the council website, and invitations do get sent out to our witness list. Would you like me to add you to the invite list?
I'd appreciate that.
Sure thing.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I think that we are now moving to, I see we have Mr. Michael Matthews, who's on the call, and he's talking and wants to share something briefly, maybe 1 minute, if you have anything, sir, about suicide awareness with amongst veterans.
Yes, I'm at the Staten Island PBS. We have created the Staten Island Suicide Prevention Collaborative. And we also have a Veterans Task Force on Staten Island. And in particular, we just created a food insecurity subcommittee to really address the issue of food insecurity. And also involved with the ETSSP program. And we are planning a full day training for sponsors on November 30th. And I can share that information once it's available, when there's a flyer out. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Matthews. And the next voice that you will hear will be if there's no other community-based organizations or elected officials that are slighted, that I've acknowledged, that have been acknowledged in the chat, I'm now going to turn it over for the next 30 minutes, or if shorter, to DVS to let you know what's happening in these upcoming weeks and months as far as our Veterans Month approaches. So the next voice you hear will be Commissioner Hendon.
Hey, Wendy, thank you so much for that. Also, I just want to, I don't know if they're still in the chat, but I want to call out, Bruce Tucker and Balavan Katish Khanna, as far as Dr. Khanna and Bruce, especially acknowledging Bruce, who held it down for a good while with Harbor Health. This will be his last meeting with us. So I just want to recognize him and thank him for his service here, recognizing he'll be moving on near the end of the year. And also welcome Bala, as far as Dr. Khanna to the group running the Bronx VA. And we look forward to greeting Tim Graham, the person who's going to come in for Harbor Health with open arms. As was mentioned, my name is James Hendon. I serve as commissioner for the New York City Department of Veteran Services. I want to respect the people in the chat. and in the Zoom, but I'm gonna turn around and look at some of the folks who are here as well. So if you see me doing the head bob, that's why. I'm gonna cover a couple of things and then we'll be out of your way. We're gonna have some new people on the team briefly introduce themselves so you all know who we are at DVS. We're gonna talk about Veterans Day. We're gonna talk about food. We're gonna talk about housing, open jobs at DVS, and then Chuck's gonna talk about something as far as our LGBTQ veteran community announcement we wanna make sure we put out there. So once again, it'll be our new members of DVS. That's Bianca, Chuck, Nicole. They'll say something briefly. Talking about Veterans Day, talking about food as we come into this holiday season, talking about housing, talking about open jobs at our agency, and then last thing, talking about the LGBTQ community Chuck's gonna bring up. So without further ado, I'm gonna pass the mic to three of our new folks in the agency, Nicole Orlando, Bianca Vitale, and Chuck Rivera. So yeah, go get it. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Orlando. I'm a policy analyst at the Department of Veteran Services. I work on projects like the Veteran Voices Project. I work with the student veteran community, as well as with VetConnect Pro, our employment tool.
Get it, Chuck.
Hello, how's everybody doing? My name's Charles Rivera. Everybody calls me Chuck. I'm the new press secretary for DVS. And yeah, we're just looking forward to figuring out how we can get the ball rolling and, raise awareness for our organization and all the great things that we are capable of doing with you guys. So thank you.
Bianca stepped away. She'll introduce herself in a moment, but as was mentioned, she's our person, is our senior policy analyst, handles intergovernmental affairs, and she's new to the team as well. Just put their information in the chat so you have the email addresses for these people as we bring them onto the team. Now, to speak on Veterans Day, as far as Friday, November 11th, just want to flag 3 key events for the veterans community. One is we've got the mayor's Veterans Day breakfast. It's not going to be held at Gracie Mansion this year. It's being held at a place called Iron 23, and it's an event site right across the street from where the parade begins. Iron 23 is on 23rd Street between 5th and 6th Avenues in Manhattan. And so that breakfast is going to run from 8 a.m. to 9:30 on Friday, November 11th. There's going to be the memorial, which is 11 a.m. on November 11th. It's always that we celebrate the 11th hour of the 11th month on the 11th day on which the Great War, World War I, came to an end. And so there will be a wreath laying currently scheduled to be at Madison Square Park across the street from Iron 23, also off of 11 Madison Avenue, about 23rd Street, 5th Avenue, that area. And then you've got the parade itself, which is slated to begin sometime between that 12 and 12:30 period. And that's going to be going from 23rd Street and 5th Avenue up to roughly 46th Street. And really, this is coming back compared to where we were during COVID, where we're looking at more than 300 units, 25,000 marchers, 30 floats, and 150 vehicles. And so that kicks off sometime between noon and 12:30 p.m. And so more can be found on that. We'll put the link out there. United War Veterans Council runs it, but so y'all know what's going on Veterans Day. We urge all community members to join with us as we celebrate our service members and their families. As far as food goes, this being the holiday season, we want to make sure people know that we are doing everything we can to put resources out there for veterans who have food insecurity issues. If you go to nyc.gov/vetfood, it's nyc.gov/vetfood, which I'll put in the chat in a minute. You can see different offerings, to name a few. Every Wednesday, folks from Black Vets of Social Justice, the Campaign Against Hunger, and other volunteers push out roughly 2,000 meals provided by HelloFresh and put out in front of our community. So if you have a need, that's one way we can try to get food to you. We also have a good connection with our friends at the Human Resources Administration, getting veterans signed up for SNAP if someone needs that, as far as the additional nutrition assistance program. There's a nutrition kitchen program the Department of Probation runs, where if you go there, they will give you good food. You just need to put the number of people who require the food, not even the names, just the number of people in the household who need it. They get it to you as far as another place to go. And then we've been giving out something from the state, DVS, Fresh Connect checks. So checks that come out to about $20 that you can bring to any of the local farmers markets, and you can use that $20 in farmers market checks there to obtain things. The list of sites you can go to is also on our website at nyc.gov/vetfood. So that's food. Going to housing. nyc.gov/vethousing is a place where we put all of the different housing resources available. We have something called a housing ladder there too. Wherever you are in your journey housing wise, you can click that ladder on a different tab and get some ideas of things you can look at, be it everything from someone who's in housing insecurity to looking at purchasing something. I want to call out with the housing ladder, the rent relief program that the Supportive Services of Veteran Families runs, it's increased. Used to be at 50% of AMI, where you could receive support from our SSVF partners. That has gone up to 80% of AMI. This is a big deal. Anyone who, if you are a veteran and you can show that in the last 12 months, your income has been at or lower than the 80% AMI threshold, which I'm going to put a flyer in the chat, which has these numbers and the contacts as well. That you can say, hey, I'm at that 80% of AMI threshold or lower over the last 12 months. I'm behind on my rent. I'm behind on my utilities. Please help me pay for this. And SSVF has a lot of money to pull from to help you pay for it. It's faster money than what the city gets out with its rent relief, or the state. It's the best and fastest money out there. And they've increased the number of people eligible for it. We're going to put that in the chat. You can see this at nyc.gov/vethousing. Another one I want to speak to before I throw it to Chuck about the LGBTQ community. We're hiring here at DVS. You know, coming out of COVID, we are now working to get more bodies in. There was a period where we could not hire. So when someone would leave, we couldn't replace them, but that's changing. The jobs that we have that are open are listed on our newsletter. You can go to nyc.gov/vet-newsletter. If you'd like to see these jobs, we always post them there. Also, you can just go to the city's website, nyc.gov/jobs, to search jobs. I'm going to put a presentation in the chat that is kind of a how-to if you go to nyc.gov/jobs. So just Google NYC jobs so you know where to go to find our stuff right at the source, so you know where to apply. Positions we have that are open where we're looking and interviewing right now. Looking to hire a director for our claims unit. Looking to hire a director for our care coordination and mental health unit. Looking to hire a director for our housing and support services unit. Looking for a burials coordinator, someone to help with all the work we do with veteran burials. Looking to hire someone to serve as an outreach coordinator. Looking for somebody to serve as a veteran benefits coordinator, someone who helps veterans with claims, processing claims in the Bronx, in Staten Island, and in Brooklyn. And then looking for a veteran peer coordinator, someone who would help work with our homeless veterans. I'm gonna read this again. It's Director of Claims, Director of Care Coordination and Mental Health, Director of Housing and Support Services. It's a burials coordinator, an outreach coordinator, veteran benefits coordinators, people who do claims work, pushing claims paperwork through for Bronx, Staten Island, Brooklyn, and then a veteran peer coordinator, someone who works with our homeless, housing insecure veterans. And so we'll put everything in the chat as far as where to go to find those things. But we urge you to take a look, and if not you, then please spread the word to somebody as we're actively looking to fill these roles. Last but not least, I'm gonna turn the floor over to Chuck to close this out from us as far as an announcement about our LGBTQ veterans. And thank you so much, y'all.
Hey, how's everybody doing? So this is related, as the commissioner said, to LGBTQ plus veterans and their spouses. It directly relates to survivorship benefits. The way that this works is for certain survivors of LGBTQ veterans who are unable to wed before Obergefell back in 2015, they're now going to be eligible for survivor benefits if they can establish a marriage type relationship. So what this relates to is the criteria for establishing that type of relationship, whether it's a bank account, a commitment ceremony, or the joint purchase of a house. And this is going to allow for those who are not able to marry and meet the 1-year requirement or the 8-year requirement to attain these types of benefits to actually apply. So this can be done with Veterans Affairs. It is not a retroactive payment, but it will be the intent to file or the claim can be made for backdated up to October 11th of 2022. So last week of this year, they can backdate those venues, but that's it.
That's all we have. We'll open any questions, but that's what we have as far as DVS. So
Yeah,
we'll open questions. And I'm putting stuff in the chat right now.
We did have a question specifically about the Dwyer program and the rollout of that, the timeline, the funding. So if you can just briefly go over that, that is something that was submitted. Thank you.
Yeah, so for Dwyer, just for folks who are unaware, the Joseph P. Dwyer program is a program that the state runs where it pushes money to different communities, that money be used to support help-seeking behavior amongst our veterans, to prevent isolation and to combat issues involving mental health and veteran suicide. You got 25 communities that received this money prior to DVS receiving it here in New York City. And so it's 25 communities dating back to 2012. As of this fiscal year, the city of New York is receiving Dwyer funding. We've got $550,000 that has come to the city. All Dwyer money has come late this year, though. So for us, we're just putting hands on the money. Because it's come late, we have until the end of calendar year 2023 to put it out as far as have it take its effect within the community. DVS is running a process where we'll have a request for expressions of interest, where we ask all who would like to apply to submit proposals saying, here's what I'd like to do if I had some of this money as far as moving the needle on veterans' mental health and wellness issues. We will be awarding this money in increments ranging from $25,000 to $100,000. So we've got $550, pushing it out in increments ranging in size from $25,000 to $100,000. And it's an RFEI process. By being a request for expressions of interest, it allows it to be a back and forth conversation between us and the awardee. In other words, we see the first wave of these proposals, then we start reaching out to those who applied, saying, hey, let's talk about ways we can make this work so we can land the plane on what ultimately becomes an agreement and a contract for you to do this work. We are the group that is pushing the contract. Like, we have responsibility for executing the contract and paying out that veteran group or that organization that wins, but we're relying heavily on an advisory group, which will consist of 7 different players. One will be a representative from DVS. Another will be a representative from the Veterans Advisory Board. Another one will be a representative from our legacy VSO community. So think veteran service organizations that do claims work when you think legacy community. Another, a VSO from the non-legacy community. So representative from, think about a Team Rubicon, Team RWB, Travis Manion, that kind of stuff. Another one will be a mental health expert. Another one will be an adaptive sports expert. And last but not least would be a holistic health expert. And so we're going to lean heavily on those folks saying what they think based on what we get from these RFEIs, and then have this back and forth where our goal is that in the first quarter of calendar year 2023, so get into January, February, March, that time frame, that these projects can be off the ground and going. And so that's what we're doing for Dwyer for the money that we're receiving tied to this fiscal year. I want to put out there this thing with us getting the money late, that was just a one-time thing. In the future, the money we receive will be tied to needing to be spent within by March 31st going forward. Once you talk about 2024, 2025, et cetera, we'll tie back into the state's calendar, their fiscal year. But for now, just know that we will be pushing this RFE out soon. We're looking at it internally, kicking the tires on it. We'll get it out to the community and give folks ample time to respond to us so we can get into this back and forth so we can do everything we can to get these resources used in a way where it benefits our veterans and their families. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, so Mr. Matthews did have a question about the application process. So Mr. Matthews, I just want to make sure that you're clear. The DVS hasn't set up the RFI process yet, but when they do, how are you?
And that's coming soon. We're gonna use everything we can from a social media perspective and from the newsletter. We're gonna use every means we can, even reaching out directly to VSOs that we've tied in. We're gonna get it out through all means we can. We pray we can work with the board too to help get the word out, to let folks know, hey, this is the time. Please send these responses in so we can then go and do the back and forth to get to a place where we've identified those initial New York City Dwyer Program grant awardees.
And because the funds have to be used by March, what's the estimated suspense date for the submission of the RFI?
I want to say it a different way. It's that we need to use these funds by the end by December of next year. So for the first wave, we've got till December of next year. And so for us, we're trying to land the plane in a way where we are all systems going, where our grantees are starting no later than the end of the first quarter of the next calendar year. So yeah, more to follow on that very soon. We are literally going back and forth, getting to a place where we feel comfortable pushing out and then promoting it, but that's the state of play.
Great. And I saw Kevin Meggett had a question.
Hello, and thank you for taking my question. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I'm a United States war veteran of the United States Navy, fought in the first Gulf War. And my issue has always been and always will be housing as it pertains to veteran and veteran services. Roughly about 10 months ago, excuse me, 10 months ago, I stood in the Bronx and on a very cold January day, and I said, I had a press conference and I asked the mayor what was his intentions as it pertained to veteran and veteran services. And he said, he assured us that he was going to work diligently to work with our veterans as it pertains to housing and all the other pretty things that you guys have said. However, we have not moved one iota in 10 months. Housing remains to be one of the biggest issues. I really humbly believe that a lot of veterans are not accounted for. We lost a lot of veterans during COVID that were unaccounted for. We don't even have statistics of how many veterans were ill during COVID. So we sort of really kind of dropped the ball on COVID. As it pertains to something specific, this has always been my argument with the city of New York. You want to be more veteran friendly, you have to do something specific for veterans if you want to be veteran friendly. So what does something specific look like? It doesn't look like attaching me to a federal program that I'm already entitled to. Something specific would look like a half-price Metro card, because I'm one of the very few people that pay on the buses and trains every day to go to and from work. That's something specific. That's veteran friendly. That's identifying with me saying, hey, the city of New York really appreciates you. City housing, you can't look at the housing crisis and not look at gentrification. Gentrification is ethnic cleansing, American style. So with that said, why can't the city create city housing instead of giving me a ladder to go up? Just give me the house where 100% of a tenement belongs to all veterans. The sweetheart deals that we are cutting, city council's cutting with respects to these developers don't work for vets. We're coupled in with everyone else. And I want everyone on this call to know, we are not like everyone else. We are exceptional people. I tell this story over and over and over again. I joined the Navy one day after Saddam Hussein went into Kuwait, knowing that I was going to war. I didn't run away from my exception. I ran to it. And that's what I'm doing now. I think the city, you say you guys are doing so much, but there's so much more that can be done. If I'm homeless, I got to go into a city shelter. I'm given a CARES number, and that CARES number will follow me for the rest of my entire life. Even though I never made a contract with the city of New York. So why do you have a number on me for the rest of my life? Once I access housing through my HUD-VASH, I'll sponge my name out of your system. I didn't make a contract with the city of New York. That's no different than Nazi Germany putting tattooing numbers on Jews for extermination purposes. I mean, I know it sounds a little bizarre, but show me where it's wrong. I'm given a number for the rest of my natural life. I will die with that number if I go through New York City to obtain federal housing. So one of the things I'm also throwing out there, perhaps the city of New York could create a city shelter other than Borden Avenue. Borden Avenue is shared with regular people. It's very disrespectful. It's very cruel and mean to take someone that may have post-traumatic stress disorder or sexual trauma and put them in a setting with everyone. We are not like everyone else. I want to really put a lot of emphasis on that. But the city of New York, I don't really blame you, but so much, because my issue is that with the federal government. I just happen to be in the city of but help. If you really want to help veterans, pressure the state to pressure the feds to give us our own housing, our own shelters, our own everything, and then let veteran service providers provide those services to those veterans, because in the end, we have more empathy for another veteran. And with that, I yield. Thank you.
Kevin, it's good to see you again. Thank you for putting that on the table, man. I appreciate just you. This is what we're here for, just so we can take all this in. I guess something you said I have to just focus on too. We exist at the city level and the state level to make up for gaps not covered by our federal partners. You know, I always tell folks, VA has the second largest budget in all of the government, second only to the DoD, yet roughly 33%, depending on where you look, 25% or so of those eligible to use the services. And so we're doing what we can to try to fill these gaps, not just us, but also our veteran service organizations as well. And so we're trying to do everything we can on this. For now, we're doing what we can to push the boulder uphill on these issues. I'm learning more about this, but I know there was an announcement recently that there's going to be 25 project-based VASH vouchers tied to the project in the Bronx on Bruckner Boulevard. And I'm trying to learn more from HPD about that myself, so we can see what happened there, so we can see if we can get that done more often. That was just announced literally a few days ago, as far as seeing project-based VASHs we haven't seen in years. Also, I know that we worked with, a lot of this is us tying in with the city and federal pieces too. I know last year, working through with the Empire State Supportive Housing Initiative, we're able to set things up. We have a pipeline of 150 new supportive housing units being built. A lot of things that trouble our veterans who are in the Borden Avenues, who are in the Tilleries, the Barbara Commons of the world, is a need for supportive housing. And so we're trying to avidly chop that tree down and get more of our folks in those units. I know at DVS, something we did bring someone on who is here with us through the Urban Fellows Program. And it's a person who's here just to focus on affordable housing, to be here as a resource, a person to talk and counsel veterans who have needs that deal in the affordable housing space, talk to you about city, state, federal offerings and how we can connect with that. And, you know, there's a lot we're trying to work on, but we have more to do. I'm not going to sit here and say that we're perfect on this. Know that we're avidly trying to chop down this tree. We're trying to be right with our veterans and finding ways to recognize the unique situations we're in, especially things like project-based VASH, especially things like helping our brothers and sisters who have affordable housing needs, which we haven't done before in this agency. So it's important for us to start doing this and to be there in other ways that we can when it comes to just policy changes and suggestions and whatnot. That's not the perfect answer, man. That's not what you want to hear. Know that we are working on this and that we focus as much as we can on trying to move the needle on the housing front. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Hendon. Is there any other questions before I move on to some other advocates for veterans? We have James Fitzgerald on the line. We also have Cleopatra Brown, who has a parade that's coming up. There's also Martin Krongel. I'm not sure if he's still on the line to talk about the Sergeant Fox suicide prevention grant. And we want to get those individuals in as well. So are there any other questions
Yes,
for
I have a
our
question.
Department of Veteran Services?
Yes, I have a question. This is Dr. Cleopatra Brown. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for allowing us to share our concerns and how we feel about the services that's being rendered to our veterans. I'm also a service-connected Navy veteran as well. And I'm not going to be long. I just wanted to let everyone know that we're going to be having our annual Veterans Day Parade and Resource Fair up on November the 5th, Saturday, November the 5th. And we're inviting everyone to the event. Also, I would just like to ask Commissioner Hendon if you can be able to provide someone to service to table the event on that day so that we can share all of that information that the DVS is doing in the community, because we would love to have that information shared with our veterans.
And Cleopatra, thank you so much about that. We have somebody who's late on, who's going to be at the event, who's going to be tabling. So, and thank you again for the invite. So we're going to be there. Yes.
Thank you.
I just want to say something real quick too, Wendy, if it's okay. When I was making that comment about the VA, when I made that comment about the VA, it's not about the people who work at the VA. It's not the Bruces or the Bollards. It's, you know, the funding that they receive or the lack that they receive. Like they're not getting enough to really go out and touch as many veterans as need to be touched. So it comes back to, do we as a country want to pay the full cost of doing right by these men and women who serve? So I want to say that I have nothing against any of our folks who work for VA. It's a tough situation they're in where there's not the right funding there for them to really go out and do the right outreach and marketing they need. And so we're all here, Veterans Advisory Board, DVS, all of our community leaders, VSOs, trying to get hands on this problem. So I just want to say that. So yeah.
Yes, and thank you, Ms. McClinton. Thank you.
Wendy, you're on mute.
I said, thank you, Dr. Brown, and
You muted yourself, Wendy.
okay, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Hey, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to join you all tonight. James Fitzgerald, 9-year Army veteran, infantryman. I got injured in Afghanistan. But one of the reasons I'm joining you tonight, and I gave that kind of intro, is I'm also a member of Brooklyn Community Board 4. I'm currently in our monthly meeting right now, but I wanted to take some time away to join you all tonight to source out if there's interest in other veterans learning how they can join their local community board. There's over 59 community boards in the 5 boroughs. There's very low veteran participation, and one of the ways that we can truly address the issues that we bring up at these veteran advisory boards each quarter is being a part and participating in our community board. So if you can put your emails in the chat, like I definitely want to source out ways that I can provide information, whether it be through webinars and an information session, or maybe you can join me at our Midtown offices. I work for AmeriVet Securities with the VAB Secretary, Mercedes Elias. So if there's any kind of interest in other veterans learning how they can be active in New York City government, but also learning how you can reach out and support your community and other veterans that reside in there, please put your email in the chat so I can learn how to provide you the information to be more active, and we can solve the issues that we bring up each and every single quarter together. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all tonight. I'm gonna get back to Brooklyn Community Board 4, but yet again, I appreciate the opportunity just to say a few words here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. Give them our love and tell them to keep up the good work. Thank you. I know that before, I don't know if Mr. Krongol, I hope that he's still on the call, but I did notice that Martin, give us 1 second, Mr. Krongol. I noticed that Ashton Stewart was on the call and he did give some information. He asked a question earlier, but he is working with another organization. If he can take 2 minutes or maybe a minute to share what that organization does, because we all need that, whether we're veterans or not. So please, Ashton, if you can you please share where you work and what you're doing with that great organization?
Thank you so much, Ms. McClinton. I'm honored to do so. I'm with MJHS. It's almost on my 6-month anniversary. We're a hospice and palliative care program for veterans. We serve everybody, but I'm the veteran liaison. So I work with veterans and their families who are at the end of life. We do a number of things to try to make that easier for families and for patients as well. We do a veteran recognition ceremony. DVS was really kind to help support us by giving us commemorative coins, which we share with some of the veterans. We've got proclamations from Governor Hochul for Memorial Day and for Vietnam Veterans Day for those who served in Vietnam, and soon to have some Veterans Day proclamations too. We're part of the We Honor Veterans program to the VA. So we do want to show veterans how much their service means to us. And at the end of life, sometimes trauma resurfaces. So we make sure that our staff are all trained through the We Honor Veterans program. There's some videos that all our staff are, they have to watch them every year just to get up to speed and make sure that they understand like how to recognize it and how to treat it and how to be respectful of it and just understand it better. In addition to that, we have virtual reality intervention, which we have over 200 videos that veterans and their families can choose. They can reminisce on trips that they've had or experience something virtually that they've wanted to do before that they're unable to do now because of health conditions. In addition to that, we also help with getting them paired up with people that can help with veteran benefits. We don't have a lot of time, so those claims have to be expedited. sometimes it's a little too late, but what I'm discovering is that it is too late oftentimes, and it's really hard because it's so hard for veterans to step forward and say, I need help. And here they are at the very end of the life. And you know, we do everything we can to get that to happen. But we go out, we meet with the community, we do presentations, we work with the VA. I love BVSJ, love DVS. And every time that I get an opportunity to come table, I'm out there meeting people with the community, sharing resources with my colleagues. So yes, I'll put my name and email in the chat. If I could be of service to you or your organization or your loved ones, please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much, Wendy.
Thank you, Ashton. Mr. Krongo, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I'm in the corner of a road, so I can't turn video on, but I just want to talk a little bit about Black vets. Wendy is my boss, so full disclosure. But Black Vets is doing some great things over the years. I've been involved with veteran issues for over 30 years, developed Commonwealth Avenue with the city and VA, and got the Eden Avenue projects, the 119th Street project going with the city. And I went on my own many years ago, and part of the work I did is was with Black Vets. And Black Vets now does employment stuff for vets, and it has a rental assistance through HUD for vets, a lot of programming, VSOs for vets, VSO work for vets. And very recently, about 6-7 months ago, I hired a veteran to help me find properties. And recently he's actually found a couple of properties, and we're gonna see if we can get them through the city. So Commissioner Hendon, I certainly hope we'll be speaking with you regarding SE and other opportunities for advocacy on your part. But very, very recently, we got some very good news. We applied for the Sergeant Fox Suicide Prevention Grant, and we were awarded for the entire metropolitan area, the 5 boroughs, Westchester, Nassau, and Suffolk County. And the reason we put that in is that we used to run an SSVF covering Nassau and Suffolk, so we thought we could cover it. But more importantly, suicide prevention is kind of different. The highest percentage in our area come from Suffolk, not New York City. But New York City has a problem too. And it's a situation where we all know it's a big problem. We all know it exists. And we have to create relationships and provide resources to try to mitigate this horrible problem. And we think moving forward, starting about January, that we'll have a good team in place to make a move forward with working with you and other groups to create emergency response teams for specific veterans in crisis throughout the city and the metro area, using both the VA resources and the resources that Black Vets and other community groups can bring to bear to this scourge. Thanks.
Before, are there any other questions or anything that anyone has that's on the line for DVS, for any of our community-based organizations? And before we go, she wasn't able to introduce herself earlier, but she's part of the team of DVS, and her name is Bianca Vitale. So I want to ask Bianca to come and introduce and say hello and wave her hand and do what she has to do to let the folks know and what she does with DVS.
She stepped out of the room.
She's in there. She stepped out again.
Nicole's grabbing her right now. Yeah, Nicole's grabbing her right now. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm like, she's gone again.
We do have 2 people in here that would like to speak. So
Yes, please. Thank you, Mercedes, please.
I'm sorry, I'm here, but I was in the room. Oh, sorry, I'll go ahead.
Hi, I'm Margaret Gambaro. I am the manager of Access Initiatives at Intrepid Museum. I'm just here to share just different things that we at Intrepid Museum offer to the military and veteran community in New York City. First of all, veterans and current service members are free to the museum every day, and New York City residents have 50% off. And then in for the end of October and November, we have free programs for veterans and military families. They are free with advanced registration. Next week, we have a virtual program with the Museum of Chinese in America, highlighting Chinese American World War II veterans and kind of why it took so long for them to get the highlight that they deserve. And then we also have a family program coming up on November 5th, where we will be offering free lunch to military families, veteran and military families. And then on the 16th, we have an Intrepid After Hours that will be highlighting untold veteran stories and talking about the museum's initiative called Full Muster. That's all about gathering stories of sailors of color, LGBTQ plus sailors, women sailors, and we've been working with other museums, other Navy museums throughout the country to kind of come together, gather our stories and share with each other to start filling in those gaps. So yes, so if you want to know more information, please go to intrepidmuseum.org/vets, or you can email access@intrepidmuseum.org. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room? I apologize.
Yeah,
You
no
know,
problem.
This COVID has gotten me so hybrid virtual. I forget to acknowledge those in the room. Thank you so much for being present. And those that are virtual, thank you too. Is there anyone else that would like to share any information?
Yeah, Marty Edelman will be speaking next.
Okay. Hi, Marty.
Hi, Marty Edelman, Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 126, that's the Manhattan chapter. And several of you have already spoken about suicide prevention. And I just want to let you know is that we're lucky enough to have one of our members, Vietnam veterans, was a trauma surgeon in Vietnam. His name is Dr. Gus Kapler. And he's already made a wonderful presentation to us about suicide prevention. He's now put together another presentation. It runs for 18 minutes and 14 seconds. He just put it onto YouTube, and I watched it the other day, and it's unbelievably great. And it's called Therapeutic Timeout. And it's a doctor's perspective on how to treat PTSD and suicide. And I have the YouTube handle here that I'm going to give to Mercedes. We're also going to present it at our monthly educational session. We meet monthly, and on January 20th at our chapter meeting at around 7:30 p.m., we're going to present it there, and Dr. Kapler will be available to answer questions. So it's just a part of education.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. One thing coupled with that, being that this is, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we want to make sure that that all of our veterans, male and female, that make sure that they go and get their mammograms. I say males because there are several males that have come up, with breast cancer. So we want to make sure that we make those things available for both. Also with suicide prevention, thank you so much, Mr. Matthews and the gentleman who just spoke. Mr. Krongo talked about the Staff Sergeant Fox Award, but this award is a little bit greater than what it is. It allows us now to go after those individuals and to see and to seek and to make phone calls and connect our veterans with individuals who will help them when they feel like they have no hope, when they feel like they can't go on, when they feel like, the pressure is too much. So we want to make sure that we do that. We want to look at, because statistics show that our veterans, especially Vietnam era veterans, and then also OEF, OIF, war veterans are more susceptible to suicide, and our veterans that are older. So we want to use this grant along with the many other organizations that have got them to prevent that from happening in our veterans. So if you have ideas, if you have veterans, you know, we've partnered with the Family Life Center to make sure that their mental health is taken care of. Please, we lost so many veterans to COVID. We don't want to lose any veterans to suicide, because there is hope, there is help, there's enough community-based organizations, there's enough for-profit organizations, we have enough mental health organizations, including first and foremost the VA, to make sure that our veterans taken care of holistically, the whole total package. So we want to just make that note. All right. Mercedes, did we cover everything? Did I leave anything out?
We have another individual. Yep. Fred?
Good evening. I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Fred Gazier. I am Chapter 126 President of VVA 126 Manhattan. I'd like to thank Commissioner Hendon for the work he's doing with DVS. Great work he's doing. We really appreciate that as Vietnam veterans. I'd like to also thank Marty. Marty is Secretary of Chapter 126 Manhattan. Excellent presentation. Thank you, Marty, for what you've said on that. Our chapter and our foundation, we're committed to a couple of things, but two primary things. One is the overall health of all veterans, Vietnam veterans and all veterans across all generations. The veterans of yesterday, the veterans of today, and the future veterans of tomorrow. The second thing, we're very concerned about the suicide, and I'm going to use it as an epidemic because it is an epidemic. Right now, we're losing anywhere between 20 and 22 veterans per day to suicide. We are addressing that through our chapter and our foundation, and we have several programs that we're putting together to address that situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then
welcome.
Bianca is in here now, Wendy, so Bianca can do it.
Okay. Hi, Bianca, you back?
I mean, I was here the whole time. I was just
Okay.
managing the chat. I'm not sure if everyone, I tried to upload a resource document that.
Oh,
compiled-
Bianca, I'm sorry, Bianca, can you please tell them, and I don't think anyone said it, but DVS has a newsletter that
Yes.
comes out weekly that people can find all the events for Veterans Day and stuff that you're doing.
Yes, so if, in the chat, I believe Commissioner Hendon put a link to sign up for our newsletter, and basically our newsletter goes out every Friday. Matthew Rosenberg from our agency puts together all the events that were sent over, and you know, basically there's a bunch of programming and every Friday, and it's actually very interesting. So we won't spam you, but if you want to be connected and stay in the loop, we urge you to sign up online. That would be the best way to find out about events and services for members and for veterans. And yes, a pleasure to meet everyone. Thank you for convening this meeting, Wendy. It was great to see everyone in person. It was very nice after COVID to see people. Yeah, thank you. I put my email and contact information in the chat. So if anyone has any policy suggestions, any issues with other city agencies that you think DVS should be aware of, or any, you know, just anything related to InterGov, definitely feel free to reach out to me. My email is bvitale@veterans.nyc.gov. And have a good evening, all.
Thank you, Bianca. Mercedes, is there anything else? Anyone? Oh, Mr. Ashton has the yellow hand up.
I do. I'm so sorry. I wanted to let you know that we've got this really exciting event coming up it's virtual on November 7th from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's entitled Achieving Success Despite Historical Discrimination. And we're featuring Dr. Tucker Osborne, the incoming president of the National Association of Black Military Women, and also Reverend Viviana DeCohen, the director of the New York State Division of Veteran Services, who some of you may know and some of you may not, but they're both also caregivers. They're courageous, they've got incredible stories, and we're going to be talking about some of that. And it's a CEU program, so healthcare providers can come and learn about working with veterans. And I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ashton. Is there anything else from our virtual watchers? Anything else from our in-house, our in-person folks? No? Well, thank you so much for everyone attending. We will be putting out shortly our calendar for next year. Please share the calendar, share it with your constituents, share it with family members and the friends of veterans, because that's the only way we're going to know what's going on with veterans unless we hear from you and know what's happening. And we have a cadre of intelligent, the DVS, the VA, the VAB, not-for-profit and for-profit entities that could probably make the situation better or maybe even try to eliminate it. So let's continue to do that. I want to thank the board of VAB. Is there anything, Mr. Rowan, Mr. Dietrich, Mercedes, anyone on the board? Ms.
Yes,
Holly, want to say?
We do have one more person here that would like to do an introduction.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Tim Pena.
Hi.
I run an organization called Veterans Justice Project. I specialize in incarcerated veterans and suicide prevention. And this past weekend, I joined with the Hudson Valley Reintegration Program. We did a 22-mile walk from some country club up north to Kingston. It took us 8 hours. I put out a newsletter directly to veterans on the prison yards, as well as I'm building up veterans for direct email. We get them forms, we get them instructions on how to fill out the forms so they can start the claim process even though that they're in prison. So again, my name is Tim Pena. The organization is Veterans Justice Project, and always looking for suggestions, ideas, help, assistance. We put out these little newsletters, pamphlets that get actually mailed out to the veterans by snail mail directly. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pena.
What is his contact information?
Your contact information, Tim?
Tim.Pena, P-E-N-A, at outlook.com.
Outlook?
Yep,
Yes.
I put it in the chat, John. So
Thank you.
you can see it there. And then I just want to address one of the questions that we had in the chat from Mr. Griffith about the next VAB meeting. By the end of December, we'll be submitting the end of year report. When we do the end of year report, that will have the dates for next year listed on there. So there are no other meetings for 2022. We will have all the information that we've received from the town hall meetings compiled for the end of year report, so we can present that information. And then again, like Wendy stated, the next year's calendar will be on the end of year report.
Thank you so much. Do we have any more questions from the floor? From our virtual body?
One comment here.
John Rowan, you're looking very good. Good to see you.
Okay, is that it for everyone? Well, all hearts and minds are clear. Thank you so much for attending. A reminder, as Mercedes said, please check the DVS website. Also, when the end of the year report comes out, we need you and somebody else with you, a veteran, at our next VAB meeting. Have a great night and stay well. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you. Thank you, DVS. Thank you, everybody.